But yeah, I'm really proud of the fact that we've given people who have been ostracized in some way or who have been sort of expelled from polite society a venue to tell their stories and to find each other. And a lot of people who have been somehow mobbed or had their careers damaged or destroyed have formed a little community through their contributions to Quillette, which is really quite special.
Maybe we need to relearn some lessons about doing unto others as we'd have them do unto us.
Absolutely. And it's an ugly part of human nature, but it has a long history. If you think of people being clapped in the stocks and having food thrown at them, we've got a long history of humiliating people in public, going after individuals in mobs because there's some ugly part of our nature that enjoys it, that gets a thrill out of it. And it was and still is a great achievement of our civilization to sort of cut against that, develop social norms and laws and institutions that cut against that part of our human nature. But we're seeing those norms erode at the moment.
And my final point out of that is that I think you and I are both committed to doing everything. When we have family, we have young ones, we want them to inherit the most civil society they possibly can.
Yeah.
But I've heard you say that the old left-right definition doesn't work so well anymore. We need to take into account now the age differences, the generational differences, and particularly in the context of climate change, we're seeing the emergence of, if you like, the substitution of a fair bit of emotion and heckling for calm, reasoned debate.
Sure.
I've never seen that sort of heat and emotion solve many problems. How do we understand this emerging problem of intergenerational, I won't say warfare, but certainly pretty high tension? How dare you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't often, I mean, the left-right divide can be useful, but it's often too simplistic for what we're talking about today. And I often find the axis of authority versus liberty sometimes more useful. And I think what we're seeing today with the left is, if I think about my own parents and back when they were young in the 1960s and 70s, there was a lot of focus on liberty for the left, liberty from social conservatism and so on and so forth. And free speech was a huge part of what it meant to be a leftist.
Yeah.
Today,
and family values, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Traditional family values. They were fierce defenders.
Sure.
Of mum, dad and the kids.
Yeah. Well, that's part of defending the workers, is to defend working families. But I think the shift, what we've seen is a shift towards more authoritarian leftism rather than liberal leftism. And so I find that liberal leftists are really easy to get along with and to talk to and debate with, and they're happy to have debates over any of these topics or any topic at all. But it's the authoritarians who are not open to debate. And unfortunately, the kind of progressivism that we're seeing in younger people today, and that is being taught within universities, is of the more authoritarian strain. And that is unnerving. And one thing that concerns me is how it gets reinforced by social media. So social media is this great engine for confirmation bias.
Yeah, right.
So it's really easy to find people who agree with you 100% on every single issue. So I think it's really easy for young people to get into these little echo chambers where they're reinforcing each other. And then once they come across someone who they disagree with in the real world, they're not equipped to be able to handle that disagreement. So they go straight for the ad hominem, straight for the appeal to emotion. And it's really not a constructive situation.
Claire, given that I think we'd both say it's incredibly important to try and respect and understand one another. You said some very interesting things about your own political positioning and how you see your interaction in the public sphere. Can you tell us a little about your own ideology, for want of a better word, if that's not too personal?
Sure. Well, I don't really have a package of political beliefs that is coherent enough to put me either on the left or the right. I just believe in foundational principles such as freedom of speech, open inquiry, and due process. I think that would probably make me a classical liberal, but I think before we have debates about policies, we need to at least agree on some fundamental principles. And a lot of what animates me at the moment is trying to defend those fundamental principles. I think they're essential for civil democratic society, and if we lose those, everything crumbles. And then my own politics, I would probably have to describe myself as centrist because I'm conservative on some issues, progressive on some others. So, yeah, it depends on the issue, yeah.
Yeah, previous guests have made diverse observations about the freedoms, but most would say you can't unbundle them. They belong together. Freedom of conscience, belief, religion, speech, and association, including the right not to associate, which we all do.
Yes.
At its most simple, we do it when we decide who we'll have dinner with.
Yes.
And who we won't have dinner with.
Yeah.
But it's an important issue, I think, because it does lie at the heart of our ability to find our way forward. I think that commitment to those essential freedoms and to open inquiry around them and utilising them.
And I see them as non-partisan. I mean,
above politics.
Free speech is for everybody. Due process is for everybody. Open inquiry is for everybody. It's not just for the right and it's not just for the left, it's for all of us.
It's critical for us to find our way forward. In fact, I would argue the greater the differences, the more committed we need to be.
Yes.
If you like, even in a tough-minded way, to say, I will defend these freedoms and respect the other person's right.
Yes.
To push back, to argue, to question.
That's a very good point. We need liberalism if we're going to have a pluralistic society, which we do.
Probably more pluralistic than ever.
Yes.
So perhaps the need for civility and respect in debate is greater than ever.
Absolutely.
At a very time when it's being diminished.
Yes.
Thank you for watching this episode. We appreciate your support. If you value vital conversations like this one, be sure to subscribe to the channel there and also click the notification bell to stay up to date with new releases.